Valley's Gold is produced through a partnership between the Fresno County Farm Bureau and Valley PBS. Production of this program is made possible in part by a grant from E&J Gallo Winery.
Welcome to Valley's Gold, where we're going to take a look at the economic engine that drives this region, agriculture. My name is Ryan Jacobsen, and I'll be your host. Today we're talking peaches. Peaches are a crop synonymous with Central Valley agriculture, and today we're going to join some farmers out in the field to see how they grow those crops, as well as stop by a fruit stand and go to a peach processing facility, literally covering peaches the pop. So join me as we start our journey. We're in a parlor orchard this morning talking about where Valley peaches originate. With us, we have John Chandler. John, thanks for having us out here this morning.
Thanks for coming out, Ryan. Welcome to Parlier.
Well, thank you. Let's start off a little bit about your family history. You know, I know you guys have a long tenure here in the Selma, Parlier area, but tell me a little bit about that.
My great-grandfather came out from Illinois. He picked up his family, put them on the Transcontinental Railroad, and came all the way out and found ground out here in the Central Valley. We have in one of his letters when he was out scouting property out here, that he wrote home and said, he was visiting in the winter, he wrote home and said, you know, kids are running around outside without their mackinaws on, and weeds are growing up above your head. If this is the place to farm, I don't know what else is. And so that's why he found the farm here, and we've been growing Chandler Farms for over 100 years.
Wow, that's great. And for people in the Fresno area, know your name. I mean, the name is synonymous with agriculture in the region. A lot of people know your parents, Bill and Carol, but tell us a little bit about notoriety of your name.
Well, I think it all starts with my great-grandfather coming in from Illinois. He served, as I think, with distinction as a state senator here from the Central Valley, and was very involved in the community. My grandfather continued as a farmer, stayed involved in agricultural associations. My father was involved in agricultural associations. My mother has been involved in higher education and supporting higher education for the Central Valley and the state of California. But it's really part of, I think, the family feels that if you're going to be in a community and you're going to be active in the community running a business, you need to be involved in the community and giving back through your involvement with these associations.
Absolutely. Now, John, like a lot of ag kids, including myself, you didn't come directly back to the farm after you graduated. Tell us about your route. It was a little more of a different route than I think most people take to get back here.
It was. I went to college with the intent of becoming a farmer, getting off school and going into farming. But when I got out of school, farming really wasn't doing all that great, and I figured I'd take a detour, and I did some political work. I worked back in Washington, D.C., worked in Sacramento, both for elected officials and for nonprofit associations, doing policy work. Most recently, I was doing agricultural policy for the state legislature, but I felt it was time for me to come back down to the family farm. My father was needing some help on the ranch, and it was good time for us both.
Well, let's talk peaches. Now, we all know about the wonderful bloom that happens here in February and March of every year here in the Central Valley. It's a sight to behold, and you know, people from around the world come here to look at these gorgeous blossoms. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the locals don't realize those blossoms turn into economic activity for us here locally, and most importantly, tasty fruits. Talk to us about what we see behind us here.
Well, this here is a August lady peach tree. We've picked it once. We're just picking it right now. And we're picking our first pick for size and color. Okay. We'll probably go through this field about 3 times with a picking crew. As the fruit continues to mature on the tree, we'll pick it again and again to make sure that we send the best quality fruit to the packing house and to the consumer. But from the bloom to this stage, there's a lot of work involved. And it actually starts before the bloom. It starts around in the winter. When we get in to start pruning this tree, we've got to prune it so that we have the appropriate amount of branches and, as we call, hangers that will provide the fruit we need and those blossoms that are so beautiful for those people looking at it. And this here, we've got a nice crop still left on here. What's left is a little bit green. This, in a couple of days, it'll continue to get redder and lose that green color, get a little bit of size with the cool nights here in the Central Valley. And with the way that we prune it kind of like a wine glass, and that wine glass allows the light to get inside. And then after we prune it and the bloom goes through and we continue to safeguard the tree from pest and disease, then we come through and thin it. And the thinning is where we go through and we knock off a lot of the fruit. We probably knock off about 2/3 of the fruit. And I think that's where most folks that have gardens at home or tree fruit at home kind of miss the mark is they don't knock enough fruit off. They get a little stingy with
Yeah.
it and think they want more. That's not, more is not better, and this more is going to be detrimental. You want to knock off enough so that the tree can put the nutrients into that few fruit left and get good quality.
Now, listening to you, when we talk Central Valley agriculture, one thing we're so proud of is the fact that we have technology to be found nowhere else in the world. But everything you're saying sounds like a whole lot of handwork. So I think it's important to talk about the people that make this operation happen.
The people are critical, Ryan. I can't think of any way we would be able to run this ranch without the valuable workers that we have out here picking our fruit right now. And I think that you can't possibly get a machine right now that would be able to be delicate enough to pick it and identify the color and the size as well as a human eye.
Absolutely gorgeous right now. One thing I want to focus in on that I think when we do talk about technology, it's kind of an older technology, but you know, the wood we see here on top on this tree is different from the wood we actually see down at the bottom where it goes into the soil there. So if you won't mind, talk a little bit about what's going on with the different grafting that goes on these types of rootstocks.
Well, rootstocks are critical to provide that tree protection against the soil-borne pests and pathogens that exist within the soil. As we plant new varieties here, we change varieties, it just continues to build up pests and pathogens, and they're just naturally present. And so a good rootstock that has resistance to that disease, but may not provide the best quality fruit, we get the benefits of both by getting the rootstock that's resistant. In this case, it's a Nemagard rootstock, and the good fruit grafted on top by an expert grafter that will graft this when it's a small tree, and then it will grow into a full-size tree. But you can see here, down here, if we clear away some of these weeds, you can even see this is the graft union. There's a slight difference in the tree bark there.
Absolutely. So. No, that's incredible. And like I said, looking at that, it just shows how much thought and how much productivity goes into making this tree end up making this product. And so, John, let's finish off with where's this end up? Where does this peach actually go towards next?
Hopefully in the hands of a consumer.
Good. That's perfect. And so I assume they go all over the United States and sometimes may even go overseas.
Yeah, so. No, these will go all over the world. Our peaches predominantly are sold domestically. Americans are still our best consumers, but you know, we're the fruit basket of the world. There may be the salad bowl in Salinas. We're the fruit basket, and so we're just putting out fruit for everyone to enjoy.
Right. Well, thanks, John. Thanks for showing us this is an incredible operation. We appreciate you taking time to show us your peaches.
Thanks for coming, Ryan. I appreciate it. Anytime.
Cuidado.
Before the peaches head to market, let's talk a little bit about the rich history of the peach here in the San Joaquin Valley. Elizabeth Lavelle has joined us to talk about that. Elizabeth, thanks for hosting.
Thanks, Ryan. It's so fun to be with you here. I love this topic because we have some beautiful photos from my great-grandfather's collection. You know, Pop Lavelle was here 100 years ago and was chronicling how agriculture developed. So one of the fun things we saw today, you were talking with John a little while ago about how that he goes in and they actually will take some of the blossoms off the trees and prune the trees back so that each peach gets the most sweetness and ripeness that it can. But 100 years ago in 1914, that wasn't the case. They just let the trees go wild. But what's more fun of this picture than anything is you see it was a family farm. So everyone in the family had to work, even the littlest children. And I love in all these pictures that we have from the family farm, the children are always barefoot. They just didn't have shoes. You know, now in these days we'd have them in helmets and lace-up boots and some kind of bug repellent. No way. They just put on their overalls and out they went up the ladder to pick the family farm.
And these kids are no older probably than 7 or 8 years old, it looks like.
At the most. I'm guessing this little guy was probably about 3, and he was out there working. Didn't matter, hot sun or not.
Yeah. And when I look at this picture, kind of one of the fun facts is I see that old peach basket. I mean, a lot of references to peach basket. I think that's how the game of basketball actually started.
It was a
with
peach basket. You're right. We have a photo of one of those, actually. But the other thing that you were talking about was how do the peaches get to market now? Well, in the old days, of course, there was really a lack of refrigeration. So we wanted to share peaches from the San Joaquin Valley all across the country and the world. And you could see they were horse-drawn. So we saw some tractors today. No way. You had to put them up with your horses, with your mules in this case, and take them to the train station, but they couldn't go very far because there were no refrigerated cars.
Yeah.
So Fresno and the Valley really came up with one of the best solutions to share, and they dried the peaches just like raisins. So if you came across a field or a planting, a packing house with all these trays out there, it could have just as easily been peaches than raisins. Look at this photo here. This is from the Earl Fruit Company. This is in the early 1930s, but they had no other way to package and send peaches around the world. And so here on the Reed farm, you can see earlier than that, even this is 1918, we developed one of the most extensive sulfur drying techniques that's been used around the world for over a century now. It's really exciting. You can see them, they had the peaches, they put them in here, and of course there really wasn't as much worry about the effects of pesticides. People ate them, they sprayed them, they really didn't know what would happen down the line. And then I love this picture particularly. They put them, they didn't have rail cars. They put them in a little bit of a stacker here. They had huge wheels and they pushed them down the train tracks. So this is how they get them around. And you know, everything here was settled by family farm. Your family, John's family, we'll see some more families. All throughout this series, we're going to be meeting families who have roots here in agriculture. And I think that one of the misconceptions that we have is that people owned the farms, didn't work the farms. But in the early teens, from over a century ago, people came here and their whole family was really in the field. So you see that the immigrants that came here to work the fields were Italian, they were French, they were German, they were Russian, and the Japanese and Chinese. And here, you know, look at this. You can see right here, they would go out and work in the fields. Now imagine we had a really hot summer, it's 110 degrees. They are not only in dresses, they're in high heels. Yeah. And they're standing out at the packing shed for hours and hours and hours at a time. So these are the family farms that we're going to be visiting over the next few weeks, and it's really fun to be part of this.
They were harder days, but they definitely made this valley's history very rich.
They did, and we're actually going to go back and on some of these programs and see how the valley was settled and how the groups that came from overseas and from Europe and from Asia put down roots here and made the farms what they are today.
Well, fantastic, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. And now it's time to head off the market. Central Valley agriculture is about friends and family. We're in Sanger today, visiting with my very good friend, Liz Hudson. Liz, thanks for having us out today.
Thanks, Ryan, for coming out. We're happy that you're here today.
Well, you have an absolutely gorgeous fruit stand going on here. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, this is our third year, and it's a family-run roadside fruit stand, and we sell everything we sell here, we grow. We sell the peaches, plums, and nectarines that we grow for our freezer and fresh market. Then we also grow some vegetables behind the fruit stand here that we provide for consumers in the Sanger and the Parlier area. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been great to get to know our consumers and customers, and we just enjoy being out here every day.
We just came from the Chandlers where we talked about their family history and their tie to the land. I know you have the same story. Tell me a little bit about your family.
Well, I'm fifth generation California farmer. Our son, Roger, is sixth generation California farmer. My husband's, Earl's family came to Sanger in the late 1880s, and they've been in Sanger, Delray area since that time, mostly involved in agriculture. Earl and I got married in 1981, and we've been farming ever since. My family farmed in the Lone Star area of Fresno County from the late 1800s until probably 4 or 5 years ago. And then we got married, we moved out here, and so we've been farming in Sanger. So both sides of our families that make up Hudson Farms all have agriculture ties and have been here in Fresno County for quite a few years.
And like a lot of farmers, you weren't always a full-time farmer. You actually had some side jobs that actually helped take care of the ranch and the farm, and obviously that's where I knew you very well from, but tell us a little bit about your past history.
At our home, we have a little sign that says, "Behind every good farmer is a wife who works in town." And that was my job for most of our married life. I did have the opportunity to work in ag communications for many years here in Fresno County for water districts and get involved in the irrigated agriculture, and then lastly with Farm Bureau, where I had the opportunity to work with you.
Great. So now we're talking peaches today, but I want to start off with these tomatoes. These tomatoes are absolutely gorgeous looking. And tell us a little bit about these. You actually grow these yourself.
We do. We have a celebrity and an heirloom Arkansas traveler. And we just plant, every year we seem to plant too much. When we try to, once the tomatoes start coming off, we get a lot of tomatoes. But we sell a lot of tomatoes. People really like that vine ripened tomato flavor, and you can do so much with them. Broil them with some mozzarella cheese and some basil on top, or in sandwiches, or all kinds of things.
You're talking heirloom, you definitely can have a noticeable difference. It's a very soft to the touch.
It is.
Different color to it. And,
it's
I'm
more
sure
pink than red, and so some of our traditional tomato customers aren't really that engaged with the Arkansas Traveler, but once they taste it, then they decide, you know what, that's a pretty good tomato.
Great. Well, perfect. Now let's move over to the peaches.
All right.
Peaches, which obviously your family has been synonymous with peaches for many years.
Yes.
And that's kind of the origin of this fruit stand, is the peach, and you wanted to go direct to the consumer. So tell us about the peaches that are coming off right now.
Today we finished harvesting the Fayettes, which are this peach here. And it is a nice freestone, comes off the pit very easy. We sell it to Wawona Frozen Foods, so it goes into a lot of different products. Wawona sells their frozen peach products to Mrs. Smith's frozen peach pies, Breyer's ice cream, peach ice cream. So there's a lot of consumer products that Wawona provides, as well as their direct line of sliced peaches and peach products. I like this one in particular to freeze myself. It's very easy if consumers want to purchase fresh fruit now, and peaches and berries and things like that are really good to freeze. Get it while it's in season, get it while it's affordable, and if you have the time, freeze it yourself, very easy to do. Then you can have your fruit smoothies, your cobblers, your pies all winter long.
Now, we've been here a fairly short time, but we've seen a lot of guests come through. And you have visitors from all over. I know a lot of them are local, but we also have a lot of visitors come in from outside of the area to visit what we have going on here. Talk a little bit about some of the visitors you've had here before.
Well, just today we have a group of Australian farmers. They came last year, and there's a busload of farmers that came through. They started in New York City and worked their way west, and California's their last stop, and we're one of their last stops.
I've actually pulled to the side Jenny Egger, who is from Queensland, Australia, visiting the Central Valley here. And so first off, welcome.
Thank you.
And so what do you think so far of the Central Valley?
Oh, I can't believe you produce so much fruit here. It's really fantastic to see so much agriculture in a small area.
Yeah, this county alone, I don't know if they told you, 400 different crops and commodities.
I'd have to believe it. I think we've only seen some of them, but it's fantastic. We sort of look out the window and think, wonder what that is that's growing. It's fantastic.
Now, you're a grower yourself in Australia. What do you have?
Well, actually, my husband and I, we have a small hobby farm.
Okay.
So we have cattle and then an alpaca herd.
Alpacas,
yes,
okay. We do have a few of those here in California, so that's one of those.
And then we also have a business where we have earth moving equipment. So we do house sites and swimming pools and horse arenas and that type of thing.
Oh, fantastic.
The suburban area. So we're just on the outskirts of a big city. So we're probably not quite as into farming. Some of these people have very large acreage, but we're enjoying the company and exploring the country.
And you've, I guess you've gotten a chance to try one of these peaches here?
I just had the peach cobbler pie, and
pretty amazing.
It was beautiful. I've got the recipe to take home.
Fantastic. So. No, I definitely, it's an easy one to make. So.
Oh yes, I'll be trying it as soon as I get home.
Well, good. Well, we thank you so much for visiting here today, and safe travels the rest of the time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good. Bye.
We've now stepped in the building, and Liz, it's a whole lot more than just fruits and vegetables. Let's talk about this trailer we have behind us.
Well, this trailer has been in our family for many, many, many years. I want to say over 100 years. My dad used it to take raisins out of the field and on sweat boxes and haul them back to the yard and then take them to be processed. So we thought it would be fitting to bring a little bit of the old into our new fruit stand, and to have some of the old things that we used on the farm, just to bring in, kind of remind us about our parents and the importance that they had in instilling in us how to be good farmers.
And something common for both of us, Liz, is we're big advocates for agriculture.
Yes.
And one thing I love about this fruit stand is you have all kinds of displays that talk about agriculture, and so what's so important to it is water. And I see these maps back here that we can talk about. Talk a little bit about what these maps are displaying and why you have them in here.
We have a lot of customers that come in from out of the area, Southern California or the Bay Area, or even people that from north part of Fresno or Clovis, And they have a lot of questions about water. They read about water and how important it is for agriculture, and they don't understand a lot of the issues. So I thought it would be beneficial to have a map, at least to identify some of the issues, where the water comes from, the importance between having a good, reliable surface water supply of water to help irrigate our crops, and how we can use that to help recharge the groundwater that we use when we don't have enough surface water. So water is a huge component, as you know, in growing our crops, and it's vital to everyone. And the more education that we can provide, people understand the issues, the better it is for all of us.
Yeah, so many people think just about the water you're opening from the tap, you're taking a shower, using for, brushing your teeth, but it's the water it takes to produce the food that we eat every day. And a lot of people don't think about that, but it's a huge, important resource for us to have to make sure the agriculture we have here continues. So I want to also ask you, Liz, the fruit stand obviously is probably not open year-round. What months are you open during the year?
We're here from June through September, and while we have the products that are available. And then in the off-season, I'm busy doing a lot of other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. Thank you so much for having us here today. We're actually headed over to Wawona to see where some of your peaches end up to be processed.
Sounds great. Come back and see us again.
Thanks. We have left the Hudson Fruit Stand in Sanger and traveled down the road to Clovis to visit Wawona Frozen Foods, the peach capital of the world. With us today, we have Bill Smitkamp. Bill, thanks for having us over here.
Ryan, nice to have you. Thank you.
Now, Bill, everybody always says everything's just peachy in Clovis. And I think that has a lot to do with your business right here, Wawona Frozen Foods. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we're celebrating our 50th year anniversary this year. My dad and brother started in 1963 at this facility. And, we produce over 80 million pounds of frozen peach product in about 95 days. So we are running hard right now. And we have this room shut down for this opportunity.
80 million pounds, that sounds like a lot, but in perspective, that's a lot of truckloads.
That's a tremendous amount of truckloads. In the United States, the industry produces about 125 to 130 million pounds of frozen peaches. So we're
we definitely are at the peach capital.
Yeah,
there.
we are.
Well, perfect. Well, we have a gorgeous display of all the products that you guys offer here, and maybe tell us and walk us through a few of these here.
Sure. Well, the one, if I may, I'll start out with the one that you're holding. This is one that we developed for the school lunch program. So we produce almost 40 million cups a year. And the interesting point about that is that there's 38 million servings every day that kids are served.
Wow.
Those 40 million, those kids across the nation will only get one of those a year. Now, some get two and some don't get any.
Yeah.
But that's a 4.4 ounce diced peach. It's sweetened with its own puree with a little bit of dry sugar added to it and some ascorbic acid.
Bill, we actually saw a truckload of peaches headed your direction today. How did those peaches from the field end up in this peach cup?
Well, first off, we take off field heat. So overnight, we put them in our 34-degree room, take the field heat out. It allows those freeze stones to understand that they need to come free from the pit. Then we bring them down here. We run them through a dumper system. We size grade them. We're washing them all the time with a very nice ozonated water. That's better than chlorine in the water. It doesn't give an aftertaste and does a real great job of microkill all the way through. Then they're cut in half mechanically. And with an Atlas Pacific pitter, which does 82 peaches a minute. Then it falls naturally in half, goes across a pit shaker, so the loose pits will fall out, and 35% of those pits will stay, whole pits will stay in those peaches cut in half. So then we have these lines that then the ladies are inspecting for pits by eye. A freestone is probably the hardest fruit for anyone to do an inspection on, because the color of the pit cavity and the color of the pit are so similar. So color sorters won't find it, and x-ray machines, the density of the pit cavity and the pit are too similar, and so we have to do it all by hand.
Wow.
So after they're inspected for pits, and hopefully we get 99% of them out, they then go to our lye peeler, where they go cupped down so the skin is exposed. Caustic is then applied to the peel. Steam is applied for about 11 seconds, and then that is washed off. And they then enter into the room where they're a nice shiny peach half, where our inspectors then are grading by color and by size what customer they go to. So the soft ones will go to the ice cream customers. The firm hard ones will go to a dice, which will either end up in these cups or into the yogurt fruit product. And then the just nice ones will go to the IQF line or into our nice dessert pack. The IQF line, in 14 minutes, those peaches are frozen down to 10 below zero. That whole process takes about 18 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and I see, you see a lot of display of fruit here, but I'm looking right here towards the center. These are one of my favorites. Tell us about this.
well, that's what we call our peach jewel. And we hope to have that in retail stores real soon, hopefully by the holiday seasons this year. I've been saying it for about 2 years, but this year, by golly, I think it's going to happen. That is a real decadent cookie with a very special crust filled with a peach filling.
Now, you said you hope to have to retail, but technically, for those folks that are in the greater Fresno, Clovis area, those folks can get them. Tell us about your fruit stand.
Well, we have a little fruit stand that's open during the summer that we sell fresh peaches and all these items that you see behind us, and naturally those peach jewels, and it's an awesome product. So,
A new appreciation for this peach gum.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey Liz, I'm back.
Good, Ryan, just in time. I made a peach cobbler.
It's perfect timing. We've been talking peaches all day and I haven't had a chance to sample any yet. Tell me about this recipe.
Well, it's real easy. I use those Fayette peaches that we talked about earlier today, and I use some flour, some milk, some sugar, butter, a little vanilla. This is an easy recipe. I have a copy here for you. And top it off with Fresno State ice cream, and it's an awesome dessert.
Well, let me give it a try. Now that's pure deliciousness. I hope you'll join us next week for more Valley's Gold.
Valley's Gold is produced through a partnership between the Fresno County Farm Bureau and Valley PBS. Production of this program is made possible in part by a grant from E&J Gallo Winery.